Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Chapter 6, but before we go there, just want to speak to MindTap and our midterm next week. So regarding MindTap, there's weird things going on in there, and in a nutshell, what I set up on the quizzes as far as attempts and feedback opportunities, the system isn't holding that for some reason, at least not all the time. So Cengage is trying to figure out why, and I'm sorry it's been a little bit confusing, but I think in the end it has only benefited you as students because you've gotten a lot more opportunity to get perfect scores in there than you probably would have otherwise. So I guess what I would say is if the system is giving you the opportunity to take quizzes more than once and to check your work, by all means take advantage of that. If the system has tweaked it that way, it would be that way for everybody, and I won't change it back. I just wanted to let you know that. On the other hand, I think the system is also maybe showing you that you have 2 attempts when you only have 1. And so if the MindTap assignment in Blackboard says that you'll only have 1 attempt, be prepared for that when you actually go to do the quiz in MindTap. And I believe that the written message that the MindTap system gives you when you start the quiz is accurate. In those cases where you're only going to get one attempt, I think it will give you that message that says you only have 1 attempt. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to what you see in Blackboard for what should be showing up for you in MindTap, and then if you get something extra in MindTap, consider it a gift for now. And anyway, I'll keep you posted when I know more from Cengage. So I think this is a new product for them, and so we may be a little bit on the bleeding edge of their release of this. But anyway, I still love the tool. So it's got a lot of neat features. So we'll work with it. All right. So on to the midterm exam. I'm putting this together now. It will have a fair amount of multiple choice. It may have some essay questions to it, true, false. I haven't decided yet. So I'll be working on that. Hope to have it ready by Monday, end of day. And I will try to put something together for a practice test for you as well. I've had a request for that. So stay tuned. And so hopefully Monday I'll have all those kinks worked out and have something concrete to tell you about for the midterm. That test will open on Thursday next week, and it will be open until the following Monday at 11:59 p.m. So that's the plan for that. All right, so let's talk about Chapter 6. Can I just say, again, I really love marketing. This is one of my favorite parts of marketing, talking about target markets and strategically segmenting markets. I probably love it because I love market research, but anyway, you'll see some of that here in Chapter 6. So let's talk about Chapter 6, which is all about target markets. If you are going to sell a product, it makes sense to take it to the group of people that would have the most need for that product, the most interest in purchasing it. And so target marketing allows you to identify that group or those groups and to reach them strategically. So there's a 5-step process to the target market selection process. And the first step is to decide if you want to have a single approach. That would be an undifferentiated targeting strategy. You're going to take one combination of product, price, promotion, and place distribution to the market you're after, versus a concentrated marketing strategy, which says you are going to look at a very specific group of people, a concentrated group, a smaller segment of the market, and you're going to concentrate on that particular group and be much more specific to what they need. So I probably didn't say that very well with the undifferentiated strategy. That approach is taking one combination of the 4 Ps to the market at mass versus a concentrated strategy where you are looking at a smaller segment of people out of a larger market and approaching them as a niche market, and that smaller group in particular. Okay, so the third option is kind of like that. You're picking multiple target markets, multiple concentrated markets that you want to approach with your product, and you may take a separate marketing mix to each of those, or you may not. But the point there is, you've got two different or multiple segments that you are specifically approaching. Okay, so then the second step is, after you've decided how you're going to go about approaching your market en masse, to a small group or to multiple smaller groups, then you need to decide how you're going to go about segmenting the market or separating it. And you could look at your market based on gender, so you have the men and you have the women, or you may look at age variables, so you may look at, my product is really only useful to people in their 40s or older people, or maybe babies. You may have multiple variables that you're segmenting on. So maybe you're looking for city dwellers that are teenagers and they're women. So you can combine those variables to get very specific about who you're going to approach with your product. Okay, so once you have looked at those variables, how you're going to split the market up, then you can start to define your different segments and actually profile them and start to get a mental picture of who these people are. You can label them. Millennial men gives you a pretty good mental picture of who these people are, or senior citizens in the inner cities, for example. Okay, so once you have your profiles, now you need to evaluate those different segments and start to think about which ones are the smartest ones for us to go after. And you may base that decision based on their sales potential, based on who you're going to face as competition in each of those different segments, and also what it might cost for you to have to go after each of those different segments. So based on that analysis, then you'll choose the market or markets that you're going to strategically approach. Okay, so that's the 5-step process. It is part of the process to start to anticipate what your sales will be with these segments. And so the book talks about 6 different methods. They're listed here. Executive judgment is just having somebody that has some knowledge in the field to make their best guess. Surveys can come from customers, come from Salesforce, come from experts. Time series analysis, here you're looking at sales within your own company over time and looking for trends and anticipating what the future sales will be based on what's happened in the past. And same with regression, except that with regression here you're actually looking for factors, you're looking to identify factors that are impacting sales. And so there's a relationship there that you're trying to figure out. Market tests, this is a situation where you're taking a product to a particular market, and actually it generally would be a new product, and or a new situation in some way, and you're monitoring, you're observing what the market does with this product. How much do they buy? If you put it on this shelf versus the top shelf versus the bottom shelf, do you see more sales? That kind of thing. Or you may combine these. I actually have done a fair amount of sales forecasting in my professional career, and we would go to our sales force and get their estimates. They worked all over the country. They knew what their bigger customers were looking at buying, and they could do a pretty good job of predicting what products they would be selling in the next quarter, in the next month. So we used that, and we also used time series analysis, where we looked at our historical sales of this product versus this product. You have to have that information, not just to try to predict your own growth as a company or your own viability, but also because in my case we were manufacturing barcode reader products, and so we had to be prepared to make those, and so our forecast drove our production, and so then in turn we were taking what we produced and trying to make sure we could also sell it. So those sales forecasts are quite important to the operations of companies. And let's see, I guess that's really the bulk of the chapter. These are the terms that popped out for me and the concepts that I would make sure you understood. So Do know the difference between a consumer and a business market, between the different targeting strategies, between homogeneous and heterogeneous, that's probably the right way to say that, markets. Know the different segmentation variables and how you would go about applying those. Know the difference between market potential and your company's sales potential. And you'll actually probably get into some of that with your term project, anticipating or researching what the entire sales are in an industry in order to predict what your company sales will be. So that's an interesting, I love that. Just love that stuff. All right, and so then you can look at your company sales, or well, your company sales really based on a breakdown or a build-up approach. Actually, it's probably more, you could use that for the market or for your company sales, honestly. Anyway, and then know the different sorts of sales forecasting tools. This would be for time series analysis, trend versus cycle, seasonal, random factor analysis. Okay. All right, so looking at the Chapter 6 assignment here, I'm giving you an example of a company that is attempting to target particular markets with their ski resort. And so this is kind of fun. It just gives you some chance to think about how they're segmenting the market and how they might be segmenting the market that they aren't currently. So have some fun with that. The Chapter 6 Mind Tap assignment is supposed to be one attempt, 28 questions. Your percentage score on that multiplied by 20 points would give you your Blackboard score for that assignment. But I do believe the quiz in Mind Tap is letting you take the test twice. So go with what you find there, I guess. Okay, so that's all I've got to say about Chapter 6. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. Are we still recording? I guess we're still recording. Let me know if you have any questions on Chapter 6. Y'all have a good weekend.